Hello and welcome to Paint a Beautiful Picture. I am really thrilled to have you with me today. I cannot wait to talk to you about this subject. At your house, who is in control? Oh, you and I might find some amount of amusement in that question. But in a house where a child is in control and the parent is not, there isn't a lot to laugh about. Let me describe something to you. I was in a home one time visiting these people, and the 3-year-old walked into the living room while the mother and I were having a, reasonable adult conversation and said, "Get up and make me something to eat." What was really shocking was the mom said, "Oh, excuse me, just a minute." Stood up, walked toward the kitchen, and while she was going, said, "And what do you want me to make you?" Okay. You may not know me well, but you're going to know me better after this. No child should be in control of a home. I do mean that with all of my heart. It gives them a false sense of control. It also helps them understand at a really deeply significant level that they are the strongest person in the pack. That's a very dangerous thing because they don't know anything yet. They don't know how life works. They don't even know how to control themselves. Why should they have this false sense that they control the whole household? Yeah, bad news for them, worse news for you, and God be merciful to you when they're a teenager. And if you have one of those teenagers who's in control of your household, I really hope today's conversation is going to be of a lot of help for you. Okay? So, this is a really important question. And yes, this is the challenge question of the day. Who's in control? And then I want you to answer this question. Are you out of control? Like in your own house, in your life, as a parent? And then, probably the most of part of this question of all is why? Why aren't you in control? Why are things out of control? Okay? All right. So, here we go. I really hope this has a hold of your interest because, oh my lands, this is such a big deal as a parent. A child who has an adult who is properly in control. Notice I've never used the word controlling, and that's not a word we're going to use because it isn't the correct one. But who is in control gives a child a sense of safety and security and assurance that there is someone in charge who is capable of taking care of me and capable of maintaining in our home what has to be done. Okay? So it is really a critical part of a healthy child's environment and upbringing to have a parent who is in control. Remember how we talked about this? That you're going to mature over time? If your life is pretty out of control, or you have a child who's running your household right now, do not despair. I really mean that because it can just drive you wild. It can get to make you feeling frustrated and hopeless and helpless and stupid. Just there are a lot of negative ramifications, but don't despair, okay? But get a hold of it as soon as possible. Let me describe this to you. Okay, so you go into your child's room and you say, you need to pick up your toys. And when he's a year and a half or 2 or 2.5 years old, if necessary, you start literally physically taking his little hands and putting them around things and setting them on the shelf where you would like them to go. And you literally physically take a hold of his books and help him put them on the shelf. By the time and it really does depend on the maturity level of the child, but somewhere between 2 and 3, pretty soon you pick up a toy, he picks up a toy, you put the toy on the shelf, he does. You pick up a book, he picks up a book, you put it on the shelf, he does. Okay, so he's learning, you have to excuse me, I do have sons, so I use the he most often. She picks up her toys, she puts them where they belong. Awesome. After 6 months of this, and you say, I need you to go pick up your room. You played with your toys, but you didn't put them back where they belong. Immediately, your child stands up, walks into their room, and picks up their toys. Did you catch that? Let me repeat that. Immediately, your child gets up, goes in the room, and picks up their toys. Do you know who's in control of that? You are. Now, if your child goes, oh yeah, I'll do that in 5 minutes, or I'll do that after I'm done with whatever, film, this movie, this video, and you allow that, you are doing that, not them. So then when it's tomorrow morning and nothing got picked up in their room and you want to yell and scream, and I told you to pick your room up, and what are you doing? You know what? You are in control, and don't let your inactivity the day before get you out of control today. Notice that. You did that, not the child, you. So when you say, I need you to go pick up your toys, there is a pause button on a video. Oh my word. And whatever they're doing, it can wait for 5 minutes, and they stand up and they respond to your instructions and they go pick up their toys. And you go in there and you say, well, I see you didn't pick up your toys. You got distracted and you started playing Barbies and you started playing around with your puppy pals. And okay, so you're not going to be finishing that video because you didn't do what I told you to do. And if they start to pitch a fit and have a hard time, you say, okay, sit down on your bed. Think about the way that you're acting, because your junky behavior is not going to control me. It's not going to change my mind. Okay, so have a seat, and I'll see you in about 5 or 10 minutes when you've picked up your room and settled down. You're in control. Did you get that? Okay, so you tell your child, we're having, I don't know, spinach quiche. Boy, did I ever hear about this a lot when my kids were young. We're having spinach quiche for dinner. Mom, you know I hate that stuff. Yes, that's what I've heard. And yet, it's really good for you. It has a lot of protein in it. It's got lots of vitamins and minerals. Iron would be one of those things if you don't know that. And you're going to eat this. And that's all there is. And they would sit down at the table and they could say to me anything they wanted to say as long as they said it respectfully. So I might hear things like, you do know how much I hate this. Yes, I remember you told me that before. And yet you're going to eat it. Now, granted, I didn't give them a massive piece. I'd give them this little piece and they had to eat it. And every time we had something they didn't particularly love for dinner, we would have something that they really did love for dessert. I didn't tell them that. I wasn't being controlling or manipulative. I wanted them to learn to do things they were uncomfortable with, that they didn't prefer, that they were less than excited about, and have control of their emotions and their reactions and participate. Did you catch all of that? Because that also matters for us as adults. We can be frustrated. We can hate something and have a strong emotional response. We can be as upset as we would like to be, and yet we need to be in control. If you look at me and say, I really can't do that, that's not possible for me. I really am going to ask you something that you're not going to like, but I want you to answer me. Tell me how many times you've wet your pants in the last week. If you haven't, then I have news for you. You have your bladder under control. Okay? How many times have you had diarrhea in your pants in the last week? If you haven't, then you have control of your bowels. And let me tell you, you have control of your mouth. So if you are letting your mouth just run and run and run and run and run and run, that's on you. It is. So stop it. When your child sees you control your temper, when you look at that child and go, I am so furious right now, and they know it, but give me a minute. I don't care if you do deep breathing exercises. I don't care if you count to 10 or if you have a really wicked temper like me, if you count to 20, you get control of your emotional state. Then you act. Okay? You don't grab that kid because you're furious. You don't slap that kid because you're upset. No, you come out of a place that you are in control. Once you learn how to control yourself and your own emotional state, you have a much better chance of controlling your household. Okay? So I don't care how messy it is and how upset you are, and I get it. I really, really get it. But you are in control and you better start acting like it. Okay? Your kid can't go to the grocery store and buy his own stuff. You are in control. You go to the grocery store, you drive your vehicle, you buy the food, you prepare it. Yeah, you're in control. You have a level of control. You need to acknowledge your responsibility of being in control emotionally and being in control in terms of discipline and structure. All of those things are your responsibility. And may I add, you know, those things contribute to the well being and the well functioning of your home. So get control. All right, so if you look at me and say, my life is out of control, my emotional state is out of control, I get upset, I cry like a baby, I'm really frustrated and I break stuff and I'm really angry and I scream and cuss and act like an idiot. Okay, I mean, I hear you really loudly and clearly. I hear this in counseling. I get it. I really, really do get it. When I was a very young parent, I was a very angry person. I did not know anything about self control. I didn't learn it from my family. Woo, that would be an understatement. And I had to learn, and it was tough on my kids. And they would tell you, and I would let them tell you. I'd never expect them to try to dress it up. I was a jerk when they were little. I had to learn control. That's why I know I can look at you in the face and say to you, you can learn this. It is possible. And the sooner the better, because you will be a much better parent. And incidentally, you will be a much better person. You will feel good about yourself and you will feel good about how you're coping with the world. So it's a really, really big deal. Now, if it's very out of control, what in the world? Start with yourself. Okay? So that's why I keep telling you this is a long journey. It isn't like you're going to get this down tomorrow. Okay? Just because you start assessing how am I doing and who's in control at home and this is a really bad situation and I don't need my 3-year-old in control and God only knows I don't need my 13-year-old tyrant in control. What am I supposed to do? Well, first, get control of yourself. Okay? You can do that. Learn when you're really angry just to be quiet. I seriously promise that you can do this. I'm going to prove it. So you're ranting at your kid. Someone calls you. It's a really important call, right? And you pick up that phone, you go, "Hello? Oh yeah, you know, that's control right there. Don't tell me you don't have any because I know you do." Okay? Or even better yet, you're just carrying on and on and on, and someone rings that doorbell and you answer that door, and it's your pastor or it's your mother in law, and you're like, "Oh, hi." Yeah, you have control. You may not know how to exercise it yet in every single situation, but you have it. I promise you. Even a better one a lot of people get. You're at work. You're just carrying on and on. My boss this, our boss this, our and your boss walks in the room and suddenly you're quiet. See? You do know how to exercise control. You may not be accustomed to it in every situation. Sometimes you might not even recognize it for what it is. I acknowledge that to you. But yes, in fact, there are things you know how to control and you need to get more. Okay? So it's a really practical skill. I want you to look at your home and ask yourself this really tough question: who is in control? If it isn't you, mom, or you, dad, please write yourself an honest answer to today's challenge question. Why am I not in control at home? What's the story? What's going on with me? What areas am I really struggling to be in control of? Of disciplining the kid. That doesn't mean whooping his behind. It means teaching him the actions necessary to live a disciplined life, like making his bed, picking up his room, putting his backpack where it belongs when he's finished with it so that it's there in the morning. Yeah, putting his clothes into the hamper, not throwing them all over the place. Yes, am I in control? If you are out of control, do not despair. I know it doesn't feel good. I really, really get that more than you might imagine. Okay. And let me encourage you that it's possible for this to change. Okay. Don't give up. Keep coming and listening and talking to me too. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button. I'm really happy that you were able to join me today, and I will look forward to seeing you soon.